In this video, I'm going to explain how this idea of state transfer, taking federal lands and giving them to the states, is going to result in huge losses to the states on the revenue side and on the expense side. All the economists agree there is no way that at these commodity prices the states can afford to own these lands. On the expense side, I'm going to talk about just a few of the big expenses that states will incur, that the federal government now incurs. You have low revenues, high expenses. You don't have to be a genius to understand that low revenue and high expenses result in a loss. You add on top of that the litigation that will continue even when the states own these lands, and you have a very unprofitable situation, which is exactly what these people promoting this scheme want. Their idea goes like this: federal lands, transfer them to the state. The states are going to lose money by their constitution, by their statute. They have to dispose of the lands, and if the state disposes of the lands, mission accomplished for those people.
But this isn't just me saying this. Utah has been running the lead on this whole transfer idea. So their university economists got together and did a study, and it's hundreds and hundreds of pages. And I'm just going to tell you a couple important things about that study that immediately should cause you to say, whoa, they won't be able to manage these lands properly. 2 points in that study. They looked at Utah, and Utah is very similar to the other states that are trying to do this in that royalties and other extraction mechanisms are what would fund these state lands, supposedly make these state lands profitable. Here's what the economists in Utah said. For Utah to break even in an optimistic scenario, Utah would need to have the oil price per barrel be above $70 per barrel. This morning when I looked it up, it's in the 40s. Just a couple months ago, the price was in the high 20s. And no one sees this price going up much in the next foreseeable 3 to 5 years. The price for natural gas is $1.90. The Utah economists say it needs to be $5 per unit in order for Utah to break even. We're talking about not even 40%. The point is, the economists say that under current commodity prices, we are nowhere near what it would take for the states to break even. It's not me saying it. These are PhDs, economists saying this. The list of things that the federal government helps the counties and states with as a cost of the federal government owning these lands is huge. I'm just going to look at a couple of them. Let's look at wildfires. We are having wildfires of a degree that we've never seen before. Wildfires are one of the biggest budgets of the Forest Service. Fighting those wildfires in a bad wildfire season could bankrupt some of these states. That's more money than these states can generate from those lands in itself. And what would they have to do if they could not do that? They'd have to sell the land. Let's talk about property taxes. When we talk about owning land, a lot of people say, well, the federal government doesn't pay property taxes on these lands. The federal government does fund the counties, not directly through property taxes, but through two programs. The Forest Service has a program called SRS, Secure Rural Schools. It's the equivalent of how the federal government will pay their property taxes to the local counties or local areas, local government. On the other side, they have what's called PILT, P-I-L-T, Payment in Lieu of Taxes. Do you think that the states can afford to pay these large amounts of local property taxes, or the equivalent of what would be local property taxes? The states can't afford that. Let's talk about roads. Road maintenance, road repairs, bridges, you name it, all that. I have no idea how many hundreds of thousands of miles of roads there are on federal lands. And right now, the federal agencies are the ones who are responsible for those roads. Yeah, Congress doesn't fund their budgets to keep those roads up to where some of us would like. But those roads would still be there if these lands got transferred. And the states do not have the money for all these costs that would be related to the roads. I end up in a lot of discussions with these people who are promoting this cause of state transfer. They tell me the states would be exempt from lawsuits. Really? Maybe these litigators are going to just close down shop because now the states own the land. I don't think so. The states are going to have the same litigation problems that the federal government has. The states are not exempt from the Endangered Species Act. The state land boards are not exempt from the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the EPA, none of that. If you can't afford to go to court to litigate your management plan, you're not going to implement your management plan. And if you don't implement your management plan, you're not going to recognize any revenues. Be thinking about some of this stuff I've told you about. Be thinking about how would this state or that state that we're talking about, how would they control these costs? How would they recognize revenues? You're going to realize quickly that they're not going to. And therefore, they're going to sell the land.